It's Monday morning. What is the 22nd of January? Chapter 37 deals with how I decided to get married, and went over most of that information in the book, but there are a few other ideas that I've had as I read this chapter, and it's been fun to do this, as I've mentioned it before. The first date with Vicky was with your mom and your grandma. I first got to know her, or mentioned this in the book, but I saw her at a cappella choir class. Took me a day or two to get up the guts to go over and talk to her, actually, and which I did, and grateful that I got up the guts to do that. Ingeborg Johnson, the choir director, had to shoo me back out of the alto section back into the bass section at the start of class, because I was over talking to her on after I started once, I went over a few other times. So, at any rate, but the first actual date after getting to know a little bit about her in the a cappella choir class really wasn't a date. It was she had a big test coming up in, I think it was biology or zoology once, something, I think it was biology. And so I offered to, quiz her, help her with her tests, which I'm glad I did. We decided we'd go up into the second floor of the Manwaring Center into an area where it was a little quieter, where she could study, and I asked her questions about her biology for her upcoming class and upcoming test. It was a big test, and hopefully helped her. I learned some stuff about biology, asking and answering the questions, but that was the beginning of a series of dates. As you always go on dates. We'll talk about dating here in just a few minutes, but I mean, even from that time forward, I knew that she was someone that I felt differently about than any other girl I ever dated. Her physical beauty was evident, and the smile and so forth. But getting to know her a little bit, and hearing her laugh, and associating with her, it became evident to me that she was something different than the other girls that I dated over the years. We, like I say, we did the normal date things. We went to eat at the Italian place. By the way, we found the Italian place was a great place to eat. In Provo, particularly, is where we found that. But in Rexburg, which is where we were going to school, went to the Sober Society, which is a good pizza place, and other places to eat, as we normally do. Went to the Manwaring Center and ate there, had some treats there, and that sort of thing. Went to ball games. She came to the ball games I was playing in, and I was grateful for that. Basketball and baseball. But like I said, just a few weeks after our initial date, and that was December. Let's see, the date was the 9th, and I think the engagement was the 7th. I could have mixed those up, but at any rate, a few weeks after that first week of December there, when we went on our first date, we were scheduled, the basketball team was scheduled to go to Alaska to play a 3-game series against the college in Alaska, which was exciting. That's the first time I'd ever been on a plane, when we hopped on the plane to go to Alaska, but that isn't the reason I wanted to mention it here. I walked down to, I wanted to let her know that we were going to be gone for, several days playing these games up in Alaska, and I wanted Vicky to know that I was thinking about her and going to miss her. So during the intervening time, I learned that she loved gumdrops. I assume she still does, but she loved gumdrops for some reason. So I walked down to several stores, the drug stores and food stores and stuff, and finally located some of these big old gumdrops with the sugar on the outside and chewy, and they're nasty to me, but she liked them. So I bought some packages of those and put them in a I think it was a quart jar or something, and made a little note or a card, and you know, indicated to her that I was going to be thinking about her and was going to miss her as I was gone on these basketball trips, and delivered it to her. I don't think I got to deliver it to her in person. I think I left it at the desk, maybe at her dorm or something. But anyway, she got them, so I knew there was something special there. So I wanted to make sure that she was aware that I was, you know, thinking about her and going to miss her during this absence here. All right, we played those 3 games and got back and so forth from the games. But we dated with movies and, like I say, eating, and I even bit the bullet, and you know, we went to dances. Like I've mentioned before, the shaking your booty kinds of things, I finally felt a little more comfortable with that. That's okay. But we went to some formal dances, you know, at Ricks College, and you know, with the corsage, you know, the flower and all that other stuff, and the formal, and the tuxedo or the white dinner jacket. In fact, I think there are some pictures. If you look that up, there's some pictures of she and I getting ready to go to these formal dances, and she was, you know, even more beautiful in those gowns than even in the school clothes. So you know, that was a little uncomfortable for me with that slow dancing thing that I mentioned before, but we enjoyed it. I did, and I think she did as well. You went to the sand dunes. There's some big old sand dunes near Rexburg. Went on picnics and things like that. And of course, our association with the a cappella choir class, we sang an original composition called Ode to Libertad. Now, you've never heard it before, never heard of it since, but it was an oratorio written by a music professor at Ricks College. And so we sang that, and we went to Idaho Falls to perform it in the Fine Arts Center there, the community center in Idaho Falls, and you know, on the bus. So we, you know, practiced, and we went on the bus and back and forth to those concerts, and they enjoyed that very much. Now, before we go on, a little advice to my grandkids here, and with this advice and 50 cents, you can buy a root beer, but it was not uncommon, you know, as you know, ended a date with an individual, you know, to give him a kiss. It wasn't uncommon at all, and it's becoming more and more common, I think, today that you know, those kinds of things occur, you know, at the end of a date or whatever, and that's okay. It's nothing wrong with that. However, you know, most of the time it doesn't mean much of anything. You know, well, okay, we kissed, that's good. However, I made a concerted decision and a purposeful decision to hold off on kissing Vicky until I felt better about it, and we'd gotten to know each other a little more, so that it would be much more meaningful than it would have been had it happened in the first date or two, or a week or two, or a month, or whatever. So I don't remember what it was, the end of a date, and it was I can't remember where we went, but we were out in front of her dorm, and I was going to take her in and so forth. But I felt comfortable and confident where, you know, we actually kissed for the first time. And I mentioned to her after that kiss that I had held off purposefully, because I wanted it to mean something to both she and I. And I don't know. I think she's mentioned to me a time or two before, she thought maybe I was weirdo or something, because I did hold off. You know, not weirdo, but it was a different approach than most of the guys she dated and so forth. So, but I purposely made that decision, and I would commend it to you, because I think that that did mean something to both of us when that did occur. All right, so we got to know each other over it was it wasn't a long period of time. Like I say, the first date was in December, and graduation is in late May, so we're talking only five months or something of dating and getting to know each other. But during that time, we did get to know each other. Um, I went to Carrie at least once, and I met her dad and her mom and her brothers and said brother and her sisters and that sort of thing, and that's always an important thing. Went to activities in Cary. One of the activities was they didn't have a movie theater in Cary, but the movies were shown in the church, in the basement of the church. I don't remember what the movie was, but we went to a movie in the basement of the Cary, the old church, the old white church there in Cary. Remember that? Went to some rodeos and things like that. Went up to Sun Valley. That's a great place as well. But and then she came to Soda Springs to meet my parents and my siblings as well, and that's always a good thing. That's a good thing. My dad was so impressed with her. I remember him saying to me that she was a more refined person than most of the girls around, and that's true. That's absolutely true. When we should never make fun of anybody, but instead of saying she was ugly, or she'd make a freight train take a dirt road, or any that kind of funny stuff, and you shouldn't say that about anybody, but I did that a few times. But my dad was so impressed with Vicki because when she would describe a good-looking person, or she said he or she had pleasant features. Pleasant features, a euphemism for she was a Abraham Lincoln, or some good-looking guy or something. Pleasant features. He mentioned that to me on more than one occasion. So that was kind of cool. All right. At any rate, we got to know each other, but it was only 5 months. But during that time, we got to thinking about the future, and the future held for me a mission, of course. I was going to go on a mission at the start of the school year, the following fall. We dated during the summer. I went to her place. She came to my place, and her dad and her mom came to my mission farewell. And I've talked about that before. Mac didn't like to leave his home in Cary, but he honored me by coming, to my mission farewell because Vicki wanted to come. So that was great. You get to know each other. There's enough adjustments after marriage, so don't rush into those things. Get to know each other a little bit, and like I say, there's still a ton. It was 5 years from the time we first started dating till we got married. 2 of those years I was on my mission, but still, we got to know each other to the point where we felt comfortable, and as we got married. But there's still big adjustments even after you get married. So don't rush into those things. If you have a chance to hold off a little bit and get to know each other, that would be a good thing. I did ask her to wait for me. As I left on my mission, we felt comfortable with that, and she agreed that she was going to do that. Now, of course, statistically speaking, there's hundreds of thousands of missionaries who have asked, made that request to their girlfriends, and about 99,999 out of 100,000 that doesn't happen. It is a rare thing for a girl to wait for 2 years for a missionary to come home without finding interest in someone else and dating and even marrying them. So that was a request, and she agreed, and we knew that if that were to occur, that would be a great thing for both of us. But having said that, Vicki did not put herself on mothballs or cloister herself in her closet for the next 2 years while I was gone. She dated a lot, which is okay. It's okay. She destroyed a opal ring as she dated a guy by the name of George, as I recall. He was from Richfield, I think that's where he was from. She also dated an international playboy from Germany. I think his name was Klaus or something like that. And she even had chances to date some of her professors and her advisors at Ricks College. They were so smitten with her that they came over to Carrie and wanted to date her. These are men. These are not just boys. These are men, her advisors and some of the professors at Ricks College. So I'll let her tell you those stories. I won't go into those here, but she had plenty of opportunities to date and to go a different direction. But to my great blessing, she decided that all of those offers were not what she wanted ultimately, and of course she did wait, which is a rare thing. And when I got back to my mission, we dated again, went to BYU, and like I say, on April the 27th of 1973, we were married in the Logan Temple, and that's the place to be married to my grandchildren. Don't settle for anything less than that. Don't settle for anything less than a temple marriage. That is what the Lord expects. That is what gets you on the track to making wise decisions for the rest of your life. And like I've mentioned before, the most important decision you make in your whole life is who you marry. You marry the right one, you're in heaven. And I've been in heaven for almost 50 years. If you marry the wrong one, you're somewhere south of there. And so that's how I decided to get married. Have a great day.